and this guy is on my board. I know somebody who I'm distant related to, who's in the eye field, pharma field. So called him up, did some research, found out my eye doctor is right, nobody has EHR in eye care. Not only that, people that are using whatever software is DOS-based, kind of old, clunky, Unix, they use it for billing, they all hate it. Staff doesn't like it, they want something different. So I basically bought the rights to the software for $3,000. Because my eye doctor didn't want to get involved, he found some stupid downtown lawyer who wanted to charge a lot of money to do some sort of royalty deal. And anyway, long story short, I got my first customer through him, who paid me the $3,000, which I gave to Greg, and that was it. And I got the product.
That was a great start. I mean,
Yeah.
you had a product, you had your first $3,000
It was
as
a
well.
prototype. It wasn't a full product. But I got something.
Right.
Great. So I think that also answers a couple of more questions that I had as to how did you get your first customer?
So the first customer was really easy. It was Craig's friend, who is still my first customer. So he's been with me for 20 years. And this guy was, he wanted to do whatever his friend was doing. So, and he was a Mac hack. All these eye doctors for some reason liked the Macintosh then. Nobody used Windows. And he said, I want to do exactly what Craig is doing. We realized it wasn't a product. So I hired a friend of mine from Mentor, and we customized it, fixed it, so it could work for him.
So I mean, that was the start of your start of making a product. So it was not a product in itself that point in time.
It was a working prototype.
And you had a great customer because you knew him.
I didn't know him.
Always support.
I didn't know him, but I got to know him.
The next question is more to do with, I'm sure that between 94 and 2000, lots of different things happened, the technology evolved, and so I just wanted to understand the way you scaled up. So from a small company and a few customers,
Right.
How did you actually achieve going to the next stage?
So I self-funded the company for 2 years. I took no investment. And the reason for that was there was no investment. You go and talk to the doctors and they go, why would I use a computer, Nitin? I can write it faster. I don't need a computer for it. Why would I ever do this? First of all, I don't even understand this form. You have to use my form. Everybody had a different form. Paper forms, all different. Depending on where they went to school, it was a nightmare. Thank God we were using a product called FileMaker, which you can, which the doctor built it on, and we still use it, where you could customize on the fly. You could change things. And in Portland, there was like zero investment. It was an old white boys club, right? So there are 4 or 5 big rich guys and a white guy. His name is Tom Holtz. He's passed away now. And if you knew Tom and you could get to Tom, then you could get some money. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. So I decided, you know what? I'll self-fund it. So for 2 years, I basically was consulting. I made a shitload of money consulting. And I put every penny into the company. So I hired a team. And then at year 2, I ended up raising about $85,000. So it was from this guy who ran the pharma company, and then 2 ophthalmologists. One of them is still my customer and is also on the board. So that helped me kind of get it to a point where we could start to sell, and I was still consulting on the side to fill in the banks, the gap. So for 2 years, that's what I did.
And then you continued to raise money. I see that you eventually raised a whole lot of money.
Right.
So how did that happen, and why did you really need that money?
Okay, so before I talk about that disaster, in 1997, and I don't know how it works here in India, but in the US, you got to know a good lawyer, and you have to have somebody, a good CPA like KPMG, and these guys have all connections to all kinds of people, right? So they bring in, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. In my case, I got lucky. I got a local guy who was like a controller with an accounting firm and joined some big consulting company that went public, and so he cashed out with $6 million. So he had a few little money to give away, so to speak, as investment. And I was introduced to him, and he decided to invest. And then my existing investors came in, and so I raised 250,000, and then I did like a warrant so I could get another 250 if I needed. So with $500,000, and I asked people for investment by the way, and he declined. Even though he had like $2 or $3 million bucks, he goes, "Give me the work, Nitin," but I said, "No, you better put money in there." Because my brother says I should not be investing at this stage. I said, "Okay, good luck to you." So you know, I tried to go to friends, but that didn't work. So I raised $500,000, and that gave us the money to do some more serious marketing. And then simultaneously, Y2K happened. So, and EHR was still, so we realized that people don't need EHR, but they also need the management system. So then we, expanded the management system. We really created a well thought, a full-blown product, which was customizable, and suddenly sales started to happen, and then I hired a sales team. I experimented with distributors, it didn't work. I hired a VP of sales, didn't work, but he hired a couple of people who were my contract salespeople, and we brought them on. And then, luckily, something happened that created chaos in the market, and everybody started to look for a new system because everybody wanted to go to Windows because of Y2K. And we were the first ones to have Windows. So even though we started on Mac, FileMaker moved to Windows, and we were on Windows. So we built, in 3 years, we built a $2.5 million revenue, cash flow positive business. And then I wanted to raise more money because we wanted to scale, and we weren't getting any VCs interested. So my board member sent me one of his ex-CFOs, and who had cashed out from some exit. And his name was Bob. So Bob and I met, and my brother actually used to work for this guy. And he just looked at me for 5 minutes. I showed him what the market was, what the opportunity. He was, "Here's a $25,000 check. What can I do for you?" I'm like, "Help me raise money." So for 1 year, we were out with a $3 million business plan. We'll raise $3 million, scale this up, maybe go into some other verticals, build this to a more sizable business. No discussions about IPO. We're going to sell it. That was always the plan. And then one day, and this is early 1999, and by this time he had brought in another VC, a small VC, who also wrote me a check, and he is also interested. Okay, this EHR thing is going to take off at some point in time. There's opportunity for IT in healthcare. There are early thinkers about that. And he said, there's these companies that are going public that are B2B e-commerce, and you have this little thing in your plan for ordering lenses. Why don't we make that as your plan? And put the EHR to the side, because, all the VCs have been burnt by whatever health IT was back then. So we changed the plan. We made it into e-commerce. And I went to one investment conference, and he introduced me to a VC out of Tennessee who he had talked to some time back. He took a meeting with me. And the next day, he brings in 2 other VCs. One of them was United Healthcare. How many of you have heard of United Healthcare? One of the largest insurance companies. They had their own VC fund. And these guys had just cashed out of a company that is now WebMD. It used to be Healthion. And they had sold a company called Actamed to Healthion and cashed out hugely. So they had all kinds of money to, throw away. So, and they loved my idea. That, it's a vertical niche, it's a 25 billion frame lens market, and you're the first mover advantage. And by the way, which they didn't tell me, was all these B2B companies were exiting out with huge valuations without a product. No customers. And at least I had 500 customers, right? And so the story to me was, Nitin, we have chemistry, we love this idea. And you'll build this e-commerce, you market to your customers, and then we'll take it to the next level, right? But by the way, you want 3 million, what can you do with 10 million? So we had to create a $10 million plan in 2 weeks. right?